And there's no rush on this here, so this is going to sit up for a couple of days. It takes 24 hours, and I'm going to let this sit up a little longer than 24 hours. It's Tuesday the 15th. I just got done putting this on the fire hardening jig, backset jig, and it's starting to rain, which is good because I wanted to hydrate it because I had heat up the inner limbs. Just so you know, an update, I laminated a piece for the handle, and I laminated an extra little piece so we have a little more meat to work with, and hopefully it won't pop off. Hopefully it'll be good. Plan is, it's raining out. It's supposed to stop in a couple hours, and if it does, it's going to get fire hardened on the fire hardening jig. So that's the plan. You know how plans work out sometimes, but hopefully it'll work out. Good morning, it's April 16th. It's another windy day on Long Island. Today's the day I'm going to fire harden this bow. This is a hickory bow that I had, a hickory stave I had that didn't have enough meat for a handle. So what I had to do is I had some extra hickory wood that I glued with AE40, and then I decided to even add another extra little piece so I could shape it and have a nice comfortable grip. So this has been shaped and it was epoxied for 3 days. So we're good to go. And whenever you add a handle on, you really want to transition from the limb going down to the fade out, to the handle. So if it bends, chances are it won't pop off. So this is so narrow, I couldn't get it really a lot of bend on it. We'll see when I tiller it if it lasts. So today's fire hardening day, and we'll show you every half hour what it looks like. If you look at my videos, you'll see this is the fire hardening gutter system that I have with a $12 gutter, and it's expandable. And the reason that this is up now before I light the coals is that I have it expanded and tinfoil laid and coals put in, so we'll cover tip to tip. And I have foil built up on the ends to compensate for the back set so that everything will get heated evenly all the way up. And I'm going to take this, remove this now, and we're going to light it up. Once the coals are going good, they're caught, we're going to put the jig back on. I'll show you how to check the height, the proper height for heat treating. Even though time really isn't that important, I usually cook these for like 2 hours. And I'm going to show you, even though I check it constantly, I'm sitting here checking it constantly. Every half hour I will pick it up and I will show you what it looks like underneath. A couple of things you need for fire hardening that's very important is you need these big fireplace gloves, and you need a stick, and the stick is to knock off ash and to level out hot spots, or if you got a spot that's not that hot and you have a buildup of coals, you could even out everything. Okay. Should catch pretty quickly with this wind. We basically want to cook the wood. I use a time frame of like 2 hours, even though time isn't important. We want it to not scorch as much as we want it to brown and cook. Wood combust at 300 degrees, and I've heard that fire hardening takes place around 240. And you have to be careful with some woods, because I believe some woods, like Eastern red cedar, have a lower combustion rate. They smoke a little. You got to make sure, like now these coals are catching, have it a little higher. You got to make sure that the wood's not smoking and the coals are smoking. Eventually they'll catch. You'll have to raise it a little higher. Now Keith Channing came up with this, and I tried all different ways from Keith Channing Outdoors. This is his fire hardening method. This is my fire hardening jig, portable jig with gutter system. And you can see how I made this on my other videos. But I had the honor of talking to Keith Channing on 2 separate occasions for a couple hours. And the best way to tell the correct heat that you should have is by taking the palm of your hand and holding it underneath the limb. and you should only be able to hold it there for a 3 count. If it's 4, it's too high. If it's 2, it's too low. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, it's a little hot there. So what's great about the idea that I line this with foil is, and I crumble up foil and put it on top of the crumbled foil. If you have a hot spot, like I just pushed these coals down, I pushed them down into that foil. And you're able to adjust the heat that way too. So this is going to cook for a while, and it's 10 to 11, and I'm going to call it like 11 o'clock start time. So by 1 o'clock, we should be done. And just so you know, where I have this riser glued on, the extra hickory blocks glued on, I have them glued on with AE40. And from what I read in the bulletins from AE40, if I use 2 parts A and 1 part B, it handles a higher heat temperature. So I mix them with a spoon, and there is more than A than B in here in this mixture. But I wouldn't say it's quite 2 parts. It's more. And what I do is, if you inside here where the riser is, it's very low and only a couple of low coals. And then I want it built up a little bit by the fade outs, because I want the fade outs brown. But this handle isn't that, I don't want it scorched. I just want it to get fire hardened. So there's only a couple of flat coals on the bottom, and then it's tapered up. Okay, so we're going to let this go, and I'm going to watch it because the coals are catching. They're getting hotter and hotter. And I'm going to keep on using that method. And I suggest that if you're interested in fire hardening, that you go to Keith Shannon Outdoors and buy his fire hardening DVD, because you're able to go in your local area, get whitewoods, and you're able to cut them down, shape them, fire harden them, and have a beautiful, fast shooting bow in a couple of days. And you don't have to rely on people. There are a lot of honest stave sellers out there, but some guys, you know, they rip you off. Okay, so get the fire hardening DVD, watch how to fire harden, find local woods, and make some bows. Fire harden them. You'll be happy that you did. Okay, so it's 10 to 11. I'll see you at 11:30, but I'm going to be checking it constantly. It's 11:15. I had this a little higher while the coals were catching, about 10-2, and I was able to turn the clamps, because as this heats up, moisture comes out, it shrinks. So now we're at 11:15 again, and look. Okay, the rise is a little solid, but the limbs, are tightening up. So part of my fire hardening process is, when I have the back set jig and I put the bow on, I use a heat gun. I start at the inners and heat it up with a heat gun. This is called heat treating, getting it to bend to the jig, and it's removing a lot of moisture. And as I'm heating it, I'm tightening up the clamps. You don't want to force it. They'll heat up, and it'll be pliable, and then they'll go. And then once I have it conform to the jig, then I flip the clamps around like I have them now, so that the screws won't be in the coal. So you have another chance of straightening this out and making it flush as you're fire hardening this bow. Because over the coals, it's getting very hot. And like I said, these screw clamps, they'll fall off if you don't keep checking them. And this is only 15 minutes into it. And like I said, even while it was higher, I started it while the coals were catching. What was it, 15 minutes ago, and it's been sitting for 10 minutes, I was able to turn the clamps too a little bit. So in another 15 minutes, I'll pick it up and I'll show you what it looks like. With these high winds, the coals develop a lot of ash. So you take your stick and vigorously knock off the ash, back and forth with the coals, to expose coals that have hardly any ash on it, and they get hotter, and that's the time you throw more coals on. So even though it's almost a half hour, we've added coals because the high winds are burning up the coals faster than normal. So we're going to let it go for another 10-15 minutes, and then I'll bring it up and I'll show you the bottom. Okay, we're at that half hour mark, and I'm going to show you what it looks like underneath. Okay, from the riser going down to the right, we have a little color going on down to the tip. From the riser going to the left, we have some color going on all the way down to the tip, light coloring. Like I said before, I vigorously knocked the ash off and added coals, and the coals are catching nicely. And we're going to keep on knocking off ash and checking the clamps to make sure they're tight, which I tightened again before I raised this. Time to put the gloves on and lower it. The reason I put gloves on to move this is because the wood is dry now. It's drying out, it's cooking, it's actually fire hardening, the molecular structure is changing, and if you were to slip while you're moving it and the limb was to touch the hot coals and you didn't move it quick enough, it could spontaneously combust, poof, like a matchstick. So this way, if you put the gloves on and it would slip down, you just grab it. You could grab it anywhere and pick it up and you're good. So that's why the gloves are a good idea when you want to move it. It's approximately 50 minutes, and what I do, like usually around the hour mark, is I take these clamps and I move them over like an inch. So there's no white spots, the color's more uniform. I believe the fire hardening will go right around the clamps, but just to make sure, we move them a little bit. So I move them all like an inch, okay, and check the heat. It's a little hot here, that's why we have the stick. It's a little hot right here. See how I'm able to move that down? Gonna raise it up a little bit here. Better? Okay, important piece of fire hardening, a stick. We're at that 1 hour mark. I vigorously knocked off the ash. I raised it up. I'm going to show you what the bottom looks like now. See, we got a little more coloring down to the tip. From the riser going to the left, we got a little more coloring going down to the tips. I vigorously knocked off the ash again and put more coals on and left a little bit low where the riser is going to go. We just want the fade outs cooking. We're at the hour and a half mark. I'm going to raise it up. I'm going to show you what it looks like. From the riser going down to the right, we got color going all the way down to the tip. From the riser going to the left, we got color going all the way down to the tips. So I just want to show you, I got a little separation going on here on this glued on hickory I put on here, and worst goes to worst, I'll have to trim it off. I'll leave a little bit attached to this so I could sand it and reattach it because it's plenty thick enough. But I'm going to make it work one way or the other. I vigorously knocked around the ash. Got a lot of heat coming out now. Check the temperature again. And we got about a half an hour of cooking left. As you know, I didn't want to waste this bow blank because it was thin, and I would have to add a handle to it, add hickory to make it thicker. So the reason why I didn't fire harden it without adding material was because it was so thin, I didn't want to get it scorched. And after fire hardening, sanded, it'll only be as thick as the limb to attach wood to. So even though I added the wood and glued it with AE40 and it looks like it's going to separate, I'm okay with that because I can trim it and leave some of this handle still on that and sand it flat and re-glue it, and at least I know it's wood on wood and not scorched or fire hardened burnt wood in wood. You know, I want it to adhere and be strong. So that's it. I'm still hoping that this works out, and something tells me it will, you know, but it's worth the trouble of going through. I couldn't not use this bow blank that I made. I couldn't not use it, and I don't like shooting a bow without a handle. It's just uncomfortable to me. I want to be comfortable, I want to be accurate, I want to be able to get good scores, and I want to be able to hit game when I'm aiming at. I want to be able to hit where I'm aiming. So that's why I need the thicker material here. Right, so it's in another 5 minutes you'll see me. I'll take this off and I'll put it on the table and show you what it looks like. It's fire hardened. It's been over 2 hours. I'm going to take it off. It's not the deepest hardening that I've done, but it's good enough. Okay, so here we are. It's done. I want to show you that it retained the back set. It looks like it has a little spring back, but it's not. This belly of the bow by the handle is crowned. It has a little lip to it, as you can see here, and that's why. But look at the nice back set we got. Let me show you the bow real quick. Okay, from the tips down to the fade outs. Okay, back of the bow looks good. This is the problem. The problem is that we got a little separation on the end here. We have a little separation on the end. I'll have to see what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to fill it with epoxy and see if I can clamp it. It don't look that bad. I was thinking I may have to cut it off and re-glue it. But I may be able to put a little epoxy in there and then just move it back, sand it back a little bit. Okay, let me show you what we got here. This riser, when I put it on the backside jig, okay, even though this was fairly flat where it was, there's like a hump here. See the hump? Okay, so apparently when I tightened up the clamps, put a little pressure, and this separated on the end under heat. Well, I'm not going to cut it off. I'm just going to fill it with AE40, and I keep a container. I keep a little Tupperware container of hickory sawdust. So, and we got some toothpicks here. Toothpicks. And what I'm going to show you is we're going to put some glue in the crack here as far as I can get it with this. I'm going to fill it in. I don't know if you can see me or not. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like you can see me. Filling it in. I'm going to put on some gloves, and I'm actually going to force it in, wipe it in. Okay? Because it looks like it's just in the end here. I'm going to go get some gloves, and I'm going to force it in. Okay, I'm putting a little more AE40 on here. And I got a paper towel, and I'm forcing it in the joint. Because the joint ain't that deep, but I'm forcing it in. And it's really not that deep. I think this is going to work out. Okay, force it in a little bit. Okay, even on the other side there was a little crack. I put a little glue, forced it in with a paper towel, and a little sawdust over it. And we're going to let this sit for a day. And then at some point I'm going to put the buffalo horn tips on, just like nothing happened. And when we tiller it, I'll take some of that material down, and we'll see how far that crack goes. Came home, I put the buffalo horn tips on, cut an angle on the wood and on the horn tips, shaped them. 24 hours, they'll be done. This is the one limb, this is the other limb. Came out good. 24 hours string grooves and shaping them.